Hello, my name's Charlie Orton and I'm a Chief Executive of UK Smart Recovery, and I'm here to talk you through this presentation that's all about our 3-year strategic plan. So what's the purpose of the strategy? Well, the purpose of the plan is to provide a strategic direction for the whole organisation over the next 3 years. It tells us the direction that we're going in and what we want to achieve in that time. The Board of Trustees and all the staff and volunteers have renewed their commitment to the development of the charity by ratifying and accepting this plan. In other words, we all agree that it's the right thing to do for the organisation over the next few years. It also makes sure that we're working in line with what's developing internationally. And it also means that they know what we want to achieve so that they can potentially help us. So the main aims of it is to focus the organisation on developing in a particular way and to get everybody on board with helping us. And what we want to do is to become an operational exemplar for small charities in the UK. And we want to be the second in line to the usually prevailing 12-step fellowship programmes such as AA. The strategy document shows that there are 3 main themes. So everything that we want to do has been put under specific headings. And our 3 themes are to restructure, to expand, and to diversify. These 3 themes are at various stages of development. For example, the restructure is 99% complete, but there's still a lot of work to do to expand and diversify the portfolio. As you can see, in the middle of these 3 circles are common areas that will impact on pretty much everything. So let's have a look at our programmes. We're currently running all 5 of these programmes in the United Kingdom. You're probably aware that there's our main Smart Recovery training programme, but we also have another programme that supports family and friends, or the loved ones of those with addictions, in supporting them and themselves to lead a more healthy and balanced life. We've got Inside Out, which is conducted within prisons in our criminal justice system. We're about to launch a pilot of Start Smart for young people. And we also have a military programme running from Catterick Garrison up in Yorkshire. So what do we mean by expanding and diversifying our programmes? Well, to expand our programmes, we want to deliver all 5 of them in more places all over the UK and reach more people. So that is a growth in what we do. And secondly, we want to diversify. So we want to place these programmes in new and different settings, for example, in private corporations, universities, or the music and entertainment industry. And we want to diversify it across the whole of the Ministry of Defence into the RAF and the Navy, not just the Army. We want to push our programmes into various healthcare apps, and we want to start to develop a partnership with gambling organisations. So that's what we want to do with our programmes. Now, when we look at our training and partnerships, you will probably be aware that we already provide an online training programme, and that's provided for people who aspire to become a meeting facilitator. And we also provide this training when it's commissioned in a face-to-face format over 2 days. So what do we mean by expanding and diversifying our training? Well, we want to increase, i.e. expand, the number of trained facilitators specifically for Start Smart, family and friends, military and veterans. So that's all about expanding and growing and doing more of what we already do. And secondly, we want to diversify our training offer to make it more accessible to as many people as possible. So we're taking our 2-day face-to-face training and we are turning it into webinar style modules delivered over a 4-week period. So this will be one module per week for 4 weeks with assignments in between. In addition, we want to grow the diversity of the training we provide. For example, starting to run training programs or sessions about how to facilitate online specifically, and also how to develop your own facilitation style to look at some of the tools in more detail, and we call that tool time. When we look at our partnerships, we already partner with a really wide range of publicly funded organisations. So, for example, local authorities commissioners, army base commissioners, the NHS, some housing projects and alcohol and drug partnerships in Scotland. The programmes are also delivered via third-party charities. So all of those are publicly funded in some way, shape or form. And the focus there is to develop peer-led meetings in the community, delivered by a network of volunteer regional coordinators who are supported by our salaried staff known as community coordinators. And when we talk about diversifying the partnership portfolio, what we mean by that is we want to partner with a wider range of organisations. For example, private treatment and rehab centres, corporations or private business. And diversifying the kind of partners that we have on our portfolio is absolutely key to our future development. What we essentially want to do is create a progressive, modern and future-proof charity. And here are some headlines of what we try and capture within the strategic plan. We want to celebrate the cultural diversity of SMART, and this needs to be reflected in both the leadership team and within the staff. And we want to be inclusive, which means including our whole workforce in our vision and mission. We really want to drive volunteer support excellence, and by that we mean improving the support and development opportunities for our volunteers and creating ways in which they can come together to network and support each other. We want to make sure all our programmes are accessible to the whole of society by providing meetings for specific groups that make up society today. For example, female or male only groups, LGBTQ+, and those for homeless people or those with no fixed abode. We want to enter into digital partnerships to make our programmes and all of our tools work on mobile devices. We want to develop, as I mentioned before, some corporate sponsors. So these are not just corporations that we partner with, but corporations that have destigmatised addiction and mental health and who are ready and willing to be progressive and to start to back us financially to help us to develop. We don't do very much fundraising in the UK, and this is something I've noticed that's in stark contrast to nearly every other country in the world running SMART. We need to have an annual campaign, and we need to be able to generate fundraising on a day-to-day kind of constant trickle basis as well. Our board needs to mature, expand and grow and begin to think about patrons and ambassadors. And also our social media accounts. They're okay and they tick along, but I think we can do a lot better there, and we can also work towards taking full advantage of all of the social media platforms. And finally, we need to move the charity into a healthier financial position so that it has financial agility. And by this, it means being able to invest when the opportunity comes along and to provide additional developments that are not possible within our basic costing structure. All of this will mean that UK Smart Recovery is not only able to survive the future, but thrive within the future as well. So I mentioned earlier about the restructure and how it's 99% complete. So I thought I would show you what the current structure of the organisation looks like. So we have a board of trustees who all volunteer to help look after the charity on a national basis. We have a chief executive officer as well, and together they're really stitched into Smart Recovery International. And by that, I mean we're in close and constant contact with the other countries that founded Smart, America and Australia. And we are stitched in the sense of we are present and have a presence on every single subcommittee, which means we're able to influence and we're able to advise on the global development of the Smart programme as a whole. We then have what's known as the central office team, so a director of operations, a team administrator and an office manager. And that also includes some community coordinators who are based out in regions of high need. The community coordinators support the volunteer regional coordinators, and they in turn all support the meeting facilitators. What's happening with this structure is that the Board of Trustees is going to grow in number and it's going to diversify itself culturally, and that's going to happen this year. Last year my post was created and I started in August of 2020. In addition to this, we know we want and need more VRCs, and we're going to aim for 10 of those over the next couple of years. And we also need more community coordinators, and we're hopefully going to grow by 4 over this year. That will complete the total restructure and make the organisation fit for purpose going forward. So you might like to know, how on earth is this strategy being delivered and managed? It's all very well having a nice document that sets out the direction that we want to go in and how we would like to achieve it, roughly, but how is it actually delivered? How are these ambitions going to land? Well, I'm the Senior Responsible Officer for the delivery of the whole strategy, but this doesn't mean that it's my strategy, and it's not exclusively owned by myself or anybody else. The board oversee the progress as reported by myself in board meetings, and they also take their own responsibility for certain parts of it. The whole team, including the board, take ownership and responsibility of either leading or assisting in the delivery of a specific element of the strategy. And that means that the whole organisation feels a sense of ownership and responsibility for actually making this happen. The 3 themes that I showed you earlier are broken down into work packages, and these packages within them are broken down into objectives, and those objectives form individual projects. The objectives are then aligned to our individual staff roles, and each year they get put into our personal development reviews or our appraisals, and these then become our own professional personal objectives that we need to achieve over the coming year. And this pushes and reinforces the ownership and responsibility down to each individual within the team. Once the objectives are in our PDRs, our appraisals, we then set about gathering up all the information and the people that we need to do the projects. We often form working groups of people that we know can help us, and that's so that we can meet up, discuss what needs to happen, agree what needs to happen, and then do it. So they're like task and finish groups. And then we use standard project management software and documents to track and trace the progress of the projects. And these are all reported in through our new organisational structure. So that is how someone like myself, as the Senior Responsible Officer, makes sure that everybody knows what to do, what their part is to play in it, and when it needs to be done. And some parts of the strategy will be delivered within less than 6 months, and other parts will take a number of years. Here's an example of one of the work packages. So one of the work packages that's been identified is around public relations and communications. And this work package is going to help with lots of elements of expanding and diversifying that I mentioned earlier. But within that as a package, we know that we've got about 4 big jobs to do. Overhauling social media, doing a full website refresh, engaging with lots of other types of media, and harmonising with the global brand. And then within those objectives, there are individual kind of mini projects. So when we look at social media, there's getting a really good storyboard. There's writing better social media guidance for all of the staff, the volunteers and the facilitators so they know how to conduct themselves online in a healthy manner and ensure regular postings, and so on and so forth. And there's about a dozen or so of these work packages, and they all reflect one or more of the themes and the objectives in the big strategy. And as we flow from left to right, the information gets more and more detailed and broken up into bite-sized chunks, which can then be achieved against a specific timeline. So that's the strategy in its essence. Just bear in mind that we have 3 themes over a 3-year period that looks to restructure, expand and diversify the organisation. That our main aim is to create an operational exemplar for small charities in the UK. And we basically want to do more and touch the lives of more people who need us. We've given ourselves 3 years from starting last year in order to achieve this plan. And I update the board quarterly on progress. I will be making these updates available via our website and our social media platforms going forward. If you would like to read or see a copy of the full strategy document, it's available via our website, and I've popped a link on it there for you, and it's under the headline strategy. And if you haven't done so already, please sign up to our mailing list. We've got a good 500 people on there or more so far, but it would be great to know that we're reaching more people. And via our mailing list, you will receive our newsletter and various other key pieces of information. You can also find us on Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube and Facebook, and the links for those are there. It finally leaves me to say thank you for listening. Thank you for volunteering for the recovery community in the UK by helping us to deliver the SMART programme. We simply couldn't do this without you. So thank you very much and have a good week.